Well, welcome to a new Dave's Workshop Tours video, and today I'm at Glenlyon Motors in Melbourne's inner north. The business has been around since the 1930s and is now on its third generation of family ownership. I can promise you there's plenty of variety inside, so let's go and see what they've got. Okay, Mike, thanks for having us in today. Tell us a little bit about the business here at Glenlyon Motors.
Controlled chaos.
How long have you been around?
Oh, I think we've been around now since about 1934, I think, when
Right.
Granddad started the business back then.
Yeah, on the same site?
Basically next door where the 7-Eleven is, it was a service station and a blacksmith
Yeah.
making repairing carriages.
Wow, wow.
It was the first petrol station in Brunswick, and it went from there.
Wow, okay. And your father took over? Or,
Yep, and then me. There was no choice.
Right, right.
As simple as that.
All right, well, there's a Camaro staring at me. Let's go and have a look at it, shall we?
67.
Okay, let's have a wonder.
Have a sticky.
Cool. Mike, what's this Camaro in for?
Basically, it's a 67 Camaro that we built for a customer some years ago, and he loves it to death. And what it's in for today, it's just come back from the panel shop having a new bonnet fitted because the old bonnet just wasn't quite up to scratch.
Right.
And we're just measuring the rear end. We've got a bit of a problem with the big wheels and tyres rubbing on one side.
Yeah.
So we're just double checking and measuring twice and cutting once. So just to determine whether we've got a differential problem that's causing it, or we've got a wheel problem that's causing it. So the old proverb, measure twice, cut once.
Absolutely.
And then make the customer happy.
So tell us about the work you've done. Well, how long ago was this?
Oh, basically we built this. When did we do it? 2014. There you go. 2014 we built the car. It's a lovely thing, and he loves it to death with a vengeance. Yeah.
Well, you can certainly see some passion. So how long did the build take on this car?
I think we spent 3 years building the car.
Yeah.
From a car that drove in here to totally every nut, bolt and washer.
Did he import it himself? Or?
Yeah, he imported the car himself. And then...
Was it a restored car then, or just an original?
No, just an original.
Yeah.
Little 6-cylinder manual.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, 2-speed automatic it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a 2-speed auto, drum brake. You know.
Well, definitely not a matching numbers now then.
No, we're not into matching numbers cars unless you've got something that's extremely rare.
Absolutely.
You know, excuse my shortness, but they've got hold of it with both hands when they're worried about, you know, a 67 Camaro being matching numbers. They made gazillions of them to throw away. Yeah. You know, so unless you've got an extremely rare car, then you don't worry about it too much.
Sure. How does he put on? Kilometres, sorry, is he putting it in that time?
Well, I think she's in miles, that old girl.
Oh, it would be, yeah, it's American.
He's probably put about 10 or 15,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow,
like most of the people who build these cars, they don't drive them a terrible lot. As you can see, it doesn't get driven when it rains.
Right, yeah.
And most of them are the same. They're pretty much fair weather drivers. So they spend more time in the garage than they do on the road. So once they're built, they really don't get a lot of wear and tear on them. So when they're done properly, the way they go, like we've got a Valiant Ute outside, which we did the same thing to. Yeah. And it's barely got, I think, 3,000 miles on it in about 10 years.
Right. So Mike, explain what's going on here.
What's going on here is we're measuring the offset, the outside of the wheel to where it bolts to the hub. So to determine if we've got the wheels had a manufacturing fault that nobody's noticed, or like I said, we've got a problem with the differential.
Right.
You know?
So he's driven it around for near
yeah, it hasn't been a huge problem, but enough to be aggravating where when it came in he asked us to look at it.
Right.
So,
but is it developed over time? Because that's like 8
years.
No,
I don't think so. No, I think it's always been there and nobody's ever noticed it before.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So I should ask you, do you mind if I'm filming you?
No, I don't care.
Is it all right?
He's got a good head for radio.
Lovely.
mil. Yeah, rim. 3 mil.
You can see where it's touched just there. You can see that mark. See
Oh
that
yeah, that light, that white sheet.
that's where it's touched. That's where the
Oh, I
tyres
see.
touched.
Oh, that's that side. Now check the other side. See what you
Oh yeah.
Not much, but enough.
Oh, okay. Oh, here we go.
Same measurement that is.
Yep. So we don't have a wheel problem. So we have a saddle problem. Where this thing here,
Yep, yep.
that's what's known as the spring saddle, and that's what centres the diff. So I'm suggesting that these are going to have to be moved about 4 mil. It's not a terrible lot, but I've got to establish why now. And now we've established why. If the wheels are the same, we have a wheel problem. We need to know what those two measurements are there.
Yeah, something like that. Actually,
Yeah.
Get down low enough, I can get something.
Yeah, it's all the parts that came out of the car,
Yeah, so it's going to just measure.
you know, gone back in, you know. So the only new things are the wheels and the springs. And I was looking at it before, I was looking at it going, well, everything's
In line.
It's in line. So why is it off to one side 4.5 mil?
And with skinnier wheels, it didn't matter at the start because you couldn't pick it up.
Well, you can see where it's been touching,
Yeah.
right there. You can see
Yeah.
it. You can see the mark. Yeah. Okay, see it.
Still trying to figure it out, yeah?
Yeah, still trying to figure it out. It's not that it's got a problem, it's what's caused the problem.
Right.
I'll tell you what you can do. Can we get the vernier? Measure that. See the bush?
What Michael was saying, these bits here, that's the spring saddle locators, right?
Yeah.
But they haven't moved at all. The only thing that's been changed is the guts of the differential, right? Everything else is the same. The springs are different, but the physical points, the physical mounting points haven't changed at all. But when the car came in, it had the stock rims, and they're skinny, and there wasn't a difference. You can see it's all to do with measuring and how much measuring is done before we actually start modifying. We just don't go chopping up for the hell of chopping up. You know, some people take a guess and then start doing all sorts of things. We're very particular in getting everything right before we start modifying.
The difference just between there and there and there and there. Then you go check the other side, it's miles different.
Is it 4 millimetres?
Oh, that's cold. Yeah, this is the outside measurement from the bush. Well, actually from the spring to the manual plate easier. Yeah. We've got 18 mil sitting there. From there to there, right?
Oh, from the spring to the mounting plate, yeah?
Yep. And this side, we've got 8 mil, 9 mil.
So I'm going to bring the diff over.
So still some deliberation and calculations to do on the Camaro before any cutting tools are brought out. In the meantime, Mike's kindly going to show us around. So, what have we got here then, Mike?
Well, here we've got a 64.5 Rover P5B coupe
Beautiful.
that we're restoring for a customer, and we've done a little bit of sacrilege to it.
Right.
But just to make it more usable, we've taken the SUs off and fitted a Holly to it.
Right,
But
right, okay.
from experience, it just makes them so much more usable,
Yeah.
user-friendly, drivable, a much better car. Engine's a great engine.
Yeah, yeah.
But typical English cars, the old SUs are just worn out and they cost more to repair than they do to replace. And your old Lucas Prince of Darkness, which is where we're going next.
Absolutely. That Buick, old Buick block, isn't
Yep,
it?
3.5 litre Buick V8.
Yeah. It's certainly done some service, hasn't it? Across a lot of for the British industry.
It went everywhere, that engine.
Yeah.
And it really was a great motor, no question.
And GM wanted it back, didn't they?
They did with a vengeance because they realised they'd made a boo-boo. But too late. Once you've signed that bit of paper, it's done.
Absolutely. Obviously, new paintwork on this one.
Yeah. Typical old English car is full of rust.
Right.
You know, coming from England where they have salt on the roads and ice, it eats them. So yeah, it was a lot of body work.
It was an import from...
Yeah, it was an import.
Right,
The bloke that owned it bought it with him.
Right, okay.
And the rust, just once it gets in, it just keeps going until you stop it. But yeah, we've done it. It's a long-term restoration. We're in the middle of doing the trim now. That's all off at the motor trimmers, getting all redone.
Right. Is that going to be new leather going on there, or is it going to recondition?
All new leather.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're trying to track down a couple of plastic bits so we can put the glass back in it. So yeah, it's just time-consuming.
Yeah. And again, parts-wise,
Yeah, that's it.
for the old Rovers, are they as easy to access as a Mini or a...
Oh, they're a little bit harder now, but out of England, there are shops over there that just specialise in P5Bs.
Yeah.
So we haven't had much trouble. The biggest problem we've got at the moment is getting a new windscreen that's green to match the rest of the glass in the car.
Right.
That's causing me a little bit of heartache, but that's all right, we'll get there.
Yeah, cool. That's a cracker. And so you've been commissioned to do all of the restoration on this particular car?
Yeah, and we'll do it all.
Cool, excellent, lovely stuff. All right, mate, let's, what's next?
Oh, I might show you some of our craziness.
Okay.
A lot of our work, and I think a lot of the workshops, you know, and for instance, you've been up to Bruno at Maranello Motors. We do a lot of work with cars like this where they've become an unfinished project and they're brought to us to finish, and that's what's happening with the Elan.
Right.
And it's come from another workshop, and we've been commissioned to finish the work and correct what was wrong, and away we go.
Yeah. Are you happy to take those sort of other people's bodges up?
They're a little bit of a challenge, but it's fun, you know. So we've already got it running, and we've figured out what's wrong. Now we've just got to correct it.
And what actual? I know it's a Lan, obviously, but those bonnet bulge and whatever that's.
Yeah, that's a typical Lotus.
What's that? Is that regular? Are they regular?
Yeah, that's
I'm trying
right.
to think now, I can't. Oh, crikey, there we go. There's something to behold. That doesn't fit in a Lan.
Yeah, a little bit of madness.
Wow.
Everybody's entitled to a moment.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, this one I actually built for myself.
Right, okay.
And it's just a strange old girl that we're going to put in our old Valiant work ute.
Uh-huh. Well,
It's been about 20 years in the making. I'll actually get to finish it one day.
Yeah. Tell me about the spec on this one.
Well, basically, it's what's left of an old 265 Valiant 6-cylinder. But that's about all that's left of it.
Yeah, just the block.
Yeah, we restroked it using components from all sorts of other vehicles to get it out to 5 litre from 4.1.
Yeah.
And then we put a turbo on it and a supercharger, rack and pinion steering.
Yeah.
It is what it's running. We've already had it started and running on the stand. It fires up and runs. It's ready to go. But as I said, it's been over 20 years. One day I'll get to finish it.
Yeah. And the underpinnings of the power.
Everything we done, the bigger brakes and bigger diffs and all sorts of things when we put it together. No.
Yeah. Oh, crikey. Well, it's a pity it's not on the stand, or I can hear this one going. That sounds like it's going to be. And there's a turbo and supercharger.
Yeah, it's what's known as Miller cycle.
Wow. Tell me, what's underneath the hood on the Elan?
Just your standard Lotus twin overhead cam, based on the Escort Kent motor.
Right.
So it's 1.6 or 1.8, something like that, with the Lotus cylinder head.
Yeah, yeah. And did many of those make it over?
Not that many of them here, but surprisingly more than you think. Like the gentleman that owns this owns 2 of them.
Right. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Gosh, there's one car I really want to have a drive out in one of these. You hear so much about them.
Oh, once they're going, typical, you know, he was well ahead of his time with his engineering.
Mr. Chapman.
Yeah, they like driving a slot car on the street.
Yes.
They are magic to drive. They really are an experience.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What's next?
I'll take you to my happy place.
Okay.
The yellow panel van that you can see in the background, it is quite a legendary panel van that disappeared for many, many years, and the gentleman that's bought it has asked us to restore it back to its originality. In its day, it was known as Vanrat, which is the VR.
Yeah.
And we've found the gentleman who originally built it, Mr. Abbott, and he's furnished us with a multitude of photos of the car through its different incarnations, so we can pick the incarnation that we want to restore the car back to what it was.
And what's its story? You say, you know, it's a legendary car.
It was a show van in the day. So, you know, in the 70s into the 80s, when panel vans were at their explosion, this one here was in the top 5 in the country.
Obviously would have appeared in the likes of Street Machine.
Oh yes, it was. Yeah, it did everything and was right up there with Jade and the Coca-Cola van. Vanrat was right in amongst them. We're still chasing some parts now because we spent a bit of time talking to Mr. Abbott, and one of the questions we asked of him, you know, in the day, if money wasn't a problem, because money was tight back in those days, would you have done what we want to do? And he said, well, shit, yeah. So we're going to take it to that next incarnation. We're going to put a Jag rear end under it instead of a Salisbury type diff. We're going to put a supercharger on the 454 instead of carburation. Just take it to that next place.
Yeah, I mean, it's been changed enough over the years that it's next.
It's next incarnation. And the man who built it originally is in full agreement with us. The gentleman who now owns it now has given me carte blanche, and we will do that. But we won't take away from its originality. It will still be yellow Vanrat, as it would have been in its day.
Yeah, great stuff.
So when it re-emerges,
Is there any video on YouTube of that back in the day?
There probably is somewhere. If you looked up Vanrat, it would show up.
Somebody got some old 16mm or something.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Yeah, great stuff.
I want to stand over there. It's going to get loud and flamey.
Let's have a here.
So we'll do a little bit of craziness for you.
Hang on, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me just turn down the old dB level.
Oh yeah, you want it down.
Where's the gain on this thing? There we go.
So, you ready?
Yo, go for it.
I'm trying to fill the bowl here. All right, try that.
Wonderful. What a sound. What a sound. Oh, thank you. Cheers.
Welcome to my happy place.
Yeah, I can imagine. You see the grin on my face. I can. Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much for that.
That's all right.
Let's go see what else you got.
Oh, all sorts of things.
The elephant in the room is...
the elephant in the room.
One
of Glen Seaton's old cars.
Right, okay. Oh, yeah,
You can barely see the word Seaton on the window, but it is there.
It's been there a while, huh?
25 years.
So it came in for something and he's just...
No, I bought that many years ago.
Yeah.
I was going to do something with it, and of course it just never happened, as happens in our world. Right. And just left it sitting up there because if I hurt it, then it's not worth anything. So it's just sat there and going for the Guinness Book of Records of dust collecting.
Is it a winner?
That was the number 3 chassis.
Right.
So it never saw the track.
Right, okay.
It was the one that sat in the corner. If you crashed the car, they wheeled it out and put it together.
I got you.
And it never saw anything. It got turned into a promotional car.
Yeah. Okay, all right. What are you gonna show me now?
What do you want to see?
Well, the old pickup.
The old FX.
Yeah. Let's go and have a wander over there. Unfortunately, this iconic piece of Aussie motoring history and others will have to wait until the next time we visit Mike and the lads at Glenlyon Motors. Or should that be Uncle Mick, as I've since come to find out he's affectionately known as in the trade. We'll be back soon for part 2 of my visit, but please leave your comments below, any memories of the Vanrat from back in the day, or your horror at the addition of the Holly carb in the Rover. In the meantime, please like, subscribe and share, and hit that notification bell for more workshop videos to come.